Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and believe it or not, this little guy in my hand is a desktop computer. It's smaller than my Nexus 5 smartphone, although a little bit thicker, but it's a Windows PC that has an Intel Atom quad-core Bay Trail processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, and Windows 8.1 software. It's called the Zotac ZBOX Pico, and it sells for about $200. It should be available in late August 2014. And as you can see, it's got 3 USB 2.0 ports, HDMI, power, headset, Ethernet, power button, and a micro SD card slot. There's no fans, no vents, because it has a processor that uses just a couple of watts. It's basically a chip that's designed for tablets, but when you plug in an external display, a keyboard, and a mouse, it works pretty well as a desktop computer for general purpose computing. I wouldn't want to use it for a high-end gaming machine. I wouldn't expect anybody would use a $200 laptop or a $200 desktop as a gaming machine, really. And you can do video editing, audio editing, picture editing, but you're going to get better performance out of a higher priced machine. But still, for something so small, it's an interesting option for a home media PC, maybe a point-of-sale system, a kiosk system, digital display, etc. It does come with this little guy that you can latch onto the back and use it to attach to the back of a display, so you can turn sort of any monitor into an all-in-one computer. And because it's such a low-power system, it comes with a little power adapter that looks more like a smartphone adapter than a desktop or a laptop power brick. So let's go ahead and plug it in, and I'll show you a little bit of what it can do. When we connect the power source, HDMI, and I'm going to plug in a wireless dongle for a keyboard and mouse. We're pretty much all set. I'm just going to reposition the camera here for a second and show you what happens when I tap the power button. Zotac logo lights up, turns blue, and it should start popping up on the screen any second now. Takes a couple of seconds to boot here. And I'm just going to show you this again while I enter my password. Alright, so we've got the Windows 8.1 desktop. And of the 32 gigs of built-in storage, there's about 24.5 that are reported here. I've only got about 16 gigs free because I've installed a couple of applications, and the operating system takes up some space. So if you need extra space, you're probably going to want to use USB storage or a micro SD card. But it's nice to be able to do online video streaming and other things without necessarily even needing to add any storage. So let's go ahead and fire up the web browser. Windows 8.1 with Bing is basically the full desktop version of Windows. The only real difference is that the default search engine in Internet Explorer is set to Bing, but you can change it if you want to. It's just a way for Zotac or other device makers to get a cheaper or possibly even free Windows license from Microsoft. So you can see, though, that it loads web pages pretty quickly. I haven't had any problems. I haven't had any problems streaming HD video from Hulu or YouTube. Zotac loaned me this, or sent me this for purposes of review, and I've only been testing it a couple of hours. I'll have more details coming up soon in a longer review, which you'll be able to find at liliputing.com and at YouTube. It has 802.11n Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.0. The Wi-Fi could be a little bit faster, a little bit more reliable. It seems to support the 2.4 gigahertz network in my home, but not the faster 5 gigahertz network. And so sometimes I found it can take a little while to load some content on the internet. While it's doing that, let's go ahead and show you. Multitasking doesn't seem to be a problem for the most part. So we've got 2 gigs of RAM, Atom Z3735F, and 32-bit operating system. Skip the ad, go full screen. Hi, this is Brian here with Liliputing, and I'm taking a first look at Windows 10 technical preview. It's the new version of Windows released on October. And so that's the internet connection that's sort of buffering that. It's not the performance. I have actually watched 1080p video on YouTube without any problems. So what else might you want to do? I went ahead and tested plugging in a wireless remote control. So this is the Remote Plus that came with the Pro box, which is an Android TV box. You can use it for air mouse functionality. You can use buttons to navigate. So it does work with a wireless remote if you wanted to do that, and it recognized that right out of the box. Another fun thing I tried was installing a TV tuner. So this is a Pinnacle USB TV tuner. I did have to use an adapter so I could plug it in at the same time as other devices because it's a little bit thick. But so I've got a TV tuner plugged in right now, and I'm going to fire up Media Portal, which is a application for managing music, movies, and other content, and it has a built-in TV viewing application. So this is the sort of application that you might want to use if you were going to use this as a desktop media center. I've also installed XBMC. That loads much more quickly than this, but it doesn't have the TV tuner functionality built in. There you go. So this is hooked up to a rooftop antenna that I've got. Should recognize the TV tuner device. Of course, everything worked much better before I started shooting this video. There we go. It's time. Lower your blood sugar with Invokana. Imagine loving your numbers. Ask your doctor about Invokana.
What on earth? Ah! It's alive!
Alright, so we've got live video from a TV tuner, we've got web video from Chrome. Let's go ahead and show you XBMC loads. It has a habit of disconnecting from my shared network drive, so I'm not going to show you video right now, but you can use this to install add-ons. So that you could access all sorts of online content or content from your home network or from local storage. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with how responsive everything feels here. Again, for basic computing tasks, for web browsing, for media consumption, I think that this little computer is probably plenty fast. And the fact that it has 3 USB ports, you can probably use it with a USB hub if you needed more ports. It gives you a lot of functionality for a $200 computer that's small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, slide into your pocket, take with you, or if you're just looking for something that you can put in the living room that's not going to take up too much space. XBMC is having a hard time shutting down, but that's actually not uncommon for XBMC on any computer. But let's just go ahead and switch over to the desktop here. So again, I've been testing this for a couple of hours at this point. I'll have more details at liliputing.com in the future, but in terms of general performance, it's a pretty versatile little device that can run desktop-style applications, Windows 8.1 full-screen applications like this weather app. My only real complaint so far is that wireless performance isn't quite as good as on some other devices I've tested, but I've also closed the door, which might be blocking my signal because the router is not in this room. I just wanted to make sure I kept the cats out so they didn't walk across the camera viewfinder. Although I do have one taking a nap over here. Anyways, napping cats, Zotac ZBOX, first look. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing, taking a look at the ZBOX Pico, which is a $200 palm-sized mini computer, which will be available in late October 2014.